A fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and skin. If we're behind, then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weak until the final siren's gone.
4,000 subscribers on YouTube. We finally hit it. Thank you very much to everybody who's subbed to us on YouTube. We really appreciate the love and support. It's a big milestone. It's been a hell of a journey, to be honest. So we thought we'd do a bit of a celebration show, talk a bit of footy. We're going to do a tier list later on. We'll talk some draft. And yeah, we'll just see where the night takes us. But I thought it was definitely cause for celebration. I couldn't find any party hats or party poppers, unfortunately, around the house. I think the kids have just used them all just because that's what they do. But 4,000 subs, Jen. It's been a big journey since 2017. I know it looked a little bit different at the start. We were obviously a bit more rogue. There was a rotating panel each week with different posters from Big Footy, and then we sort of locked in on having a set panel, which I think's worked really, really well for the amount of time we've been doing it for. I think it's allowed us to build a good relationship. I think it's allowed us to build a good relationship with the audience, and you can tell that with the banter in chat. And I think that's really, really important to any sort of meaningful or good show. So thank you to you guys for being a huge part of it. But has there been, and for everybody in chat as well, has there been any favorite moments or things that have happened on the pod over the journey to start with? The one I'll bring up first, and this was mentioned by the upcoming sponsor that I'm yet to announce. He had mentioned that what's still one of the funniest things that he's heard was the coining of the phrase Maui by the sea. And we were trying to establish if that was a CB original or if he stole it. But in the end, we didn't care. It was just funny, and that was something that stood out to him. And it's something we still all use to this day, which is very, very good. But is there anything else that sticks out for other people for things or moments we've had along the journey?
First of all, this is what 4,000 subs gets you, this beautiful pad.
Yeah, and a grand piano in the background.
Yeah, it's a Steinway. Is that a thing? Anyway, look, it must be CB. I really enjoyed the stories about the robes and then the appearance in the robe. I thought that was pretty good.
That was good. That was almost very revealing, wasn't it? That bathrobe. But I'm actually surprised. I have looked. I'm not going to lie. I have looked to see how much custom robes are. It's not as easy to source as what I thought it might be. But I thought that would have been a very funny thing to have done. I'll still hunt, but no, CB does have a good robe collection. Tiggs in his leather pants. That's always good.
I'll call my mate Hugh. We might have to cover up a couple of bunnies on the thing on the outside, but I should be able to get them at a good rate.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he can hook us up. The old Sarge likes to come on, man. Geelong theme was all time. Grok, any other special moments that you can think of along the journey?
Yeah, there have been a few. Obviously, the grand final show, post 2017, I think was massive. Yes. Obviously, the first year, riding, Jack Graham and Jacob Townsend into the finals, and that grand final show was classic. Can't go past the draft watch last year with the North Melbourne trade. That's just going to be an all-timer. There's been Now Hear Me Out has been a classic. What else? The deposits, CB United's deposits at yes. GMHBA Stadium. There's been so many good moments over the last 8 years that we've been doing it. So no, it's been fantastic. And 4,000 subscribers is a massive achievement. And I'm sure I speak for everyone, given that the news that you shared earlier in the week, thoroughly well deserved, mate. So yeah, thank you for having us.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. It doesn't all happen without you blokes. One of the other funny moments, look, it didn't cover ourselves in glory. Well, maybe not all of us, but maybe a particular individual who isn't here. So I feel bad saying it, but the live call we did when Tiggs had a few cans was fairly entertaining. I think it might have been against Port Adelaide. I'm not sure if anyone was around to witness that one. Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting.
That was amazing. I could only listen that night, and I was just like, "What is going on?" That was great.
It was very good.
I actually, if I think back when I first came on, I subbed in for a couple of people, and I was the stats guy, and I was bringing all the stats. And I don't think I've brought a stat for 2 years.
That's all right. This is a good call too from Tiger Pop. I think it's good to shout out all the past players who have jumped on for chats along the journey as well. And I do, alongside that, want to give a big thanks to Nick Ericus for organising a lot of those players, if not pretty much all of them. It's always a great pleasure to chat to the past Tiger legends. And it's something we'll try and do more of. It can be tricky to get a hold of some of them, but we'll keep working at that. But no, the past player stuff has been really, really good. And it's just good to see how far the show has evolved. And there's a few people who've been around here since 2017 and onwards when we were a bit more rogue, a bit looser. But I think it was the right move. It kind of happened inadvertently, I guess, sort of straightening it up a bit and being a bit more, I don't know, careful with what we do and say, but while still calling it how it is. I think we've found a really good balance, and that's what everyone loves about the show, which was good. So, no, we thank you all for everything, and hopefully we get another 8 or so years. And I think what's going to be rewarding, though, gents, is when we start to play well again. Like, we've been there we've had the good times. We've also now had the not so good times. So no one can ever accuse us of jumping on the bandwagon when we're going good again. And I think it'll be a pretty good roller coaster once we're back up and about.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, we've got the structures in place now on field and off field. So hopefully the rebound isn't as long as the 37 years.
Surely not. Surely it's not going to be another 37 years.
Well, first of all, let's get Culden to 37 years. And then let's get Essendon to 37 years. We've got a few more 37 years we need to cross before we get back to thinking about ours again. It's going to be glorious.
We do need to have an episode with a bit of a birthday cake celebration for Carlton's 30th birthday, don't we? I think we owe them some type of celebration.
And we really missed the chance to get Essendon a birthday cake
this the 21st. Yeah.
Their 21st. We could have bought them a second-hand car.
Yeah, no, we could have. Plenty of milestones for them to come, hopefully. A lot of people were loving the North Melbourne draft clip. That was a good clip. It was quite funny. And we are doing another live draft show this year. I'm not sure if we'll get another moment like that. I'm actually kind of backing Blair in to generate something for us. Not that he does it for us, but you just know he's going to be real shifty and try and rip someone off that could be very entertaining. So we'll have to keep fire on that. We need a weekly Hang On Carlton segment. well, we could do that. But
the Carlton crap shoot.
Carlton crap shoot. So this is the thing, like, I don't know how much planning people think we do in the lead up to a weekly show, but it's not a lot, we'll be honest. But I think we like it that way. A lot of the segments kind of are self-explanatory, talking about the game, the upcoming game, but everything else in between, the AFL and the AFL media kind of writes itself to talk about for us. We're in some ways a little bit lucky that we have so many interesting characters, shall we say, that we all have to deal with, that gives us plenty of things to discuss.
Yeah, as we've said, with the whole idea with that whole come on man thing is, let's put a spotlight on some of the ridiculousness, and as you say, it writes itself. Like, so there's a little bit of making a couple of notes just so that you can remember the idiocy of the week that has been, but it really is insane. The industry, and I mean, like, we could go back now over the past 7 days, and we could just go, and we could go full Geelong again. We could go just Chris Scott's press conference this morning. Apparently, Bailey Smith has been an outrageous success. Outrageous.
Really? Okay.
Oh, like,
didn't the AFL just say they don't think they can control him or something?
They essentially told him to pull his head in, or there'll be consequences. But I mean, come on, coming from Chris Scott and his, incidents with the media, are we really surprised he's backing in Bailey Smith, one flog to another? Birds of a feather and all that.
Yeah.
I just find him so, Scott, he's so smug and condescending and arrogant when he speaks. He speaks at you, not to you.
Yep.
And I can't believe that he hasn't been pulled up more when he's obviously speaking shit. Now, when I say these negative things, I'll also say clearly he's the best natural speaker of all of the coaches. For him, it's easy to slip into that mode. And when you hear him talk and he's not defending the club, he's a genuinely interesting conversation because he's also clearly an intelligent man. And I think that's what's so frustrating is that he's got all of this natural ability, but when he plays defense, like this filter goes over, oh shit, I just used the American term, didn't I? Defense. When he goes into defensive mode and the filter comes over, and it's almost like it's a smug filter that just comes down, and it's really hard to watch.
Yeah.
All fair calls. I think you're right. He's actually a really smart speaker when he just is natural. He's actually quite interesting to listen to, but I'm sure they'll give us plenty of more things to work with in 2026 and beyond. And I mean, the year's not even out yet. We may even get more by Christmas, to be honest.
Right. I'm just going to do something. I'm just going to do something here, right? I've just seen a thing at the side, party at EJ's joint.
Yes,
I'm going to give you a rare glimpse into the shit show that is my office, right? At my work office. This is obviously put there for those reasons. Otherwise, we'd be looking at some
that's
empty
like
boxes, some bottles.
Like before I flip the desk around.
Yeah.
My office has been taken over by my sister's storage. She's moving out, so I'm literally like cramped into a little corner. Got nowhere.
Yeah, so that's why I put the fake background on, because I want to do it to ease the eye of our fantastic crowd. I don't want them to have to see this crap.
Fair enough. I just let it roll. Whatever's in there is in there. Who cares? You have had some good backgrounds, though, must be said.
Yeah, actually, that's something that I enjoy doing. Is during the season, is sort of theming the background.
Yeah,
with either what has happened or what is coming. It's actually that I actually enjoy that. So,
no, it's good fun. All right. Well, first we're gonna. I'll go.
I was going to say, if Bailey Smith and Chris Scott don't give us anything, Clayton Oliver certainly will. He's been on a bit of a roll, hasn't he?
I reckon they should let Clary off the chain more often.
All right, the first thing we're going to do, we're actually going to do something that's called a tier list. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are probably somewhat familiar with this. Some of you may not be familiar with it, but basically we have the pre-season Guernseys that Richmond have worn for the last God knows how many years. It's not all of them. Some of them were kind of double ups. They had minor sponsorship tweaks. We didn't worry about including those. But we get to rank them in order. So S, for anyone familiar with how the traditional tier list works, S is kind of like God tier. I don't know why and how that originated. That's just what it started as, so that's what everyone has. And then A for A tier, B for B, C for C, D for D. Pretty self-explanatory. So we'll go through them one by one, and everyone else, it's pretty much going to be off majority rules from the comments in chat to see where you want to put the votes. And yeah, we'll see how we rank the preseason Guernseys. For me, looking at the options available, I personally think there's one clear-cut winner, and it'll be interesting to see if that aligns with anybody else. But we'll go with this.
I think there's a clear-cut D as well.
There could be there could be a couple there. So we'll go with this one first. This is I don't know what year, but we've got Bengal Jeep and the faded Tiger. And it's not really the traditional yellow, and I think that kind of loses points for that. Where would everybody rank this particular one?
I like it because it's kind of understated.
You like the subtleness of the Tiger?
Yeah, I do.
What about the yellow component?
Oh, I should.
Ask Groupie.
I should ask Groupie. He's the yellow king.
The charcoal and mustard.
Yeah. I just don't mind it overall. I don't mind it.
A lot of C's in chat. There's a couple of A's.
I'd have it a B. It's not great. It's not inoffensive. It's just,
I think it's low key classy. I'd go between A and B, but I couldn't go a C.
Oh, I think the A's and the B's sort of offset the C, so I think average it out to about a B for that first one. Well, there you go, Tiger Team. S is special or superior. Is that officially what it's for? That would make sense. Next one, we've got this one up here. So the grey, it's kind of like a gradient coloured one with the yellow, the grey, the tigers in colour, a bit more bold. How do you feel about the tiger being bolder there, EJ?
Oh, it's too busy, and that's what I liked about the silhouette tiger on the other one. Is it doesn't hurt the eyes as much. There's just too much going on. What do you think, Rock?
Yeah, I can see points for it. I see points against it. I just think it's a bit of an eyesore. But compared to some of the others on the list that are horrific, I'd probably go C, maybe B.
The overwhelming one in chat does seem to be B. So we found a second B there. The third one, see this, it's just like they've used the same design but just gradually evolved it. So there's a bit more colour happening in this one, making it kind of pop out even more, EJ. So I don't know how that makes you feel, but everything's just standing out. The yellow's now gradienting through the top of the Guernsey and through the sides. Tiger's still in colour. A bit of it looks like a slightly different yellow to what the previous one was. How do we all feel about this one, chat?
I could just go B again. I do enjoy the fact that it's more black than grey.
Okay.
Yeah. The bolder colours for me make it improved, but I can't put it above the first B we gave, the understated one. So I reckon it's a B.
A lot of B's in chat. All right. Geez, we're filling up the B's real quick. Now this one I think was one of our first ever ones. So it's look, it doesn't look traditional in any sense, but some people might like it. I don't know where, how, or why it originated, but it was just in the catalogue of the pre-season footy Guernseys for Richmond. So
1906, I think this one was.
Was it? Yeah. I don't think this is going to get a lot of love.
No, put it straight to the bottom.
Straight to the bottom.
I mean,
a lot of D's flooding in. Someone's
just,
James Racing's try to give it an F.
Like, it is an improvement on the Hawthorn jumper, but not by much.
Yeah, it's
like,
look,
get it out of my sight. Yeah,
I'm glad they haven't revisited that one at any stage for a heritage round of any kind. Rational Roman D, you never want to see it again. Birdman RFC Suns. There you go. All right, the next one. Now, this one, look, I think this is a clear-cut S, top of the tree for me personally, but it's about the majority. Where do we rate this one? I love the fluorescent, vibrant yellow, and I love the black tiger on this one.
Yeah, I'd go S or A. I really, it's one of two that I really like.
Yeah, I just think this is probably one of the times I reckon they actually got the yellow right. It felt like anyway.
Agree. This is an S for me. Looking at all the jumpers, if you're going to pick one, I think this would be one of two that you would pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Brett's gone D for that. Brett, why are you going D for that one?
We found Groupie, 2 highlighter yellow.
No, he meant to hit S, but it's right next to it on the keyboard.
Oh, yeah, finger slips. Yeah. Next one. Geez, I'm not sure I feel about this one, to be honest. I mean, I do like the old Tiger logo. Yeah. Luxbet is the sponsor. Bit of yellow. What would you even call it? I suppose it's meant to be like a tiger claw, I guess, in the background. What do we think of this one, chap? EJ as well, you go first.
I like the amount of black in it. It's got, like it's more like She can't even say it properly because I just don't want to say it because it's not like a traditional jumper because it's got this big splat in the middle, but it's more like a traditional jumper than the others. But I think the mixing
is it better or worse than these ones in B?
My personal opinion is I think it's better because I think those two non-silhouetted Tiger are it's just yuck. But the clash of styles has me putting it probably down lower. All
right. Grok, how are you feeling on this one?
I'd have this one above. I just think just purely on the colour scheme alone, I think it's a much better fit for yellow and black than that sort of goldy colours on the other Bs. I just think as a purely aesthetic look, it's more in line with what we identify as a club than the other ones with the colours and everything.
All right, we'll chuck it. There's a couple of S's in there as well and some A, so we'll chuck it in A. Dutchy, we can definitely do the Indigenous jumpers another time for sure.
That'd be awesome.
I say another time because I've got to actually save all the files and drag them across.
That would be awesome.
That is on the list.
That was the other one I said to Michaels we could do. This one or the Indigenous one, and Michael's like, pre-season one sounds good.
But we can definitely loop back during the off season and do that for sure. The next one is very similar to all the ones that was in B, but the nut straight away. The white is off to the side.
What's
tiger head's off to the
What's
side.
that wavy shit?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think they've missed the mark with that one.
Yeah. No. C.
Yeah.
C. Yeah, I feel comfortable with a C. Yeah, Jones Racing will definitely do Dreamtime as another episode for sure. I mean, it's definitely better than the one in D, but it just misses the mark, that particular design.
But if you're going to go crazy with the design, you've got to make it stand out. That's neither here nor there. They haven't committed one way or another, so it's definitely worse than the ones in B.
It sort of feels worse because it's off centre.
It's kind of like that Year 9 student that had a project and they've just discovered how to use paint for the first time. Apologies to all Year 9 students who've just discovered paint.
Next one, we've got this other predominant yellow one with the claws on the upper side and then the logo on the middle part. I don't mind this one. For some reason, I don't mind, especially being pre-season, I don't mind the use of the inverted type of colours. And again, I think the yellow is a lot better than the yellow of the ones in the Bs.
Yeah, I don't want it.
Yep. I reckon that's an A based on the list that we've got so far. I mean, again, it's completely different to anything that we had previously, which made a nice change.
Gee, mixed bag. We've got some A's, C's, B's. Jacob's gone a high B. I'll leave it there for now. It could be one of those ones that would sit in the middle, maybe, but...
That's what I love about you, Michaels, asking the audience for their opinion and then just ignoring it. You keep going.
Averaging it out. There's plenty of A's. We've all gone A's. There's some C's and B's. It's
Come in, Spinner.
This one is very similar to the other one. What's the difference?
Yeah, I can't see a difference. It's like two Spider-Mans going like that.
It's a different neckline. One's rounded, one's
Come on, man. Come on, man.
It's the same sponsor. The yellow looks a little bit different.
Just leave it in the same. It's the same.
Exactly.
It's the same.
I don't think we could justify putting that somewhere else.
Executive order. Do it.
Michael, Jones Racing, you're going for the AFL CEO role by ignoring the fans.
No, I'm looking at all the numbers and averaging it out roughly, really quickly, trying to see.
Hey, we all get our whack from the audience. It's your turn.
Yeah,
just cop it.
My goodness. Trying to celebrate a show and I'm getting smashed. I don't know if I like these grey ones.
Yuck.
I remember at the time I thought they were cool, but
D's for me. It's just horrendous.
Straight out. Dutch has gone lower than D.
Yeah. Outside of the Tiger logo, what would that, where is our identity?
What do we stand for?
Yeah. No, it's there's the yellow paneling on the side, but no, it's pretty rubbish.
And it also reminds. It also reminds me of the Carlton gunmetal jumpers. So for that alone, it's a D.
Oh, yeah, okay. Widescreen's gone an S. Oh, come on, widescreen, surely not. John's gone a Z, stinks of failure. A lot of people are reminded by Richard Tambling in this Guernsey. Does that resonate with anybody else, Richard Tambling? Was that in the was that the pre-season game against Collingwood where he went for that big run and then everyone thought he was going to be
The second coming.
the next best thing? Is that game?
I don't
If you
know.
Now, if you had to pick out of the two in D at the moment, if there was another category to go down further, which is there one that's worse than the other?
The red and the yellow stripes. It's just get it. I don't want to see it. I just don't want to see it.
I'd personally rather see that than the grey.
Really? You'd rather
at least
red
it's
and
not
yellow.
depressing to look at. Like grey is just depressing when you're playing bad footy and you got, the grey jumper.
What is red? What is red?
Yeah, I'm not sure where they've pulled that from.
Anyway, neither
Well,
of them are really good.
I'm not even sure I'd bother asking the question because it's the same colour. It's just a different colour tiger head. So I'm guessing the colour tiger head, has it swayed anyone's opinion to put it up to a C, or is it still a D? Or in some cases, people in chat calling for a Z or an F. I feel like that belongs in a D. I reckon that grey one was around the time. Does anybody remember the tsunami appeal? I had a photo with it was a team photo. I'm pretty sure Terry Wallace might have been coach at the time, and you paid X amount of money, which was a donation to the tsunami appeal. And I'm pretty sure that's when we were wearing those greys. There you go. There's a pointless story. Barry's with EJ, doesn't want to see either.
Robert Mills.
Yellow
and red is far worse. Looks like a Macca's top.
Looks like very good, Robert. So Ronald McDonald. It's pretty close. EJ. Gray's associated with Alex Ferguson from coach. Triple Z from Roman. All right, and the last one we've got here, I feel like this one, I don't know how long these lasted for in circulation, but I feel like this one is the one I tend to remember the most.
I love it.
Yeah.
So the black with the tiger claws.
Yep, it's simple. There's no clutter. It gives a nod to the regular season jersey. It's the tiger claws, which is who we are. I love it.
Yeah.
How do we feel? Is it missing the logo though, or do the claws say enough? Being it's not a non-official preseason game, you reckon we can get away with it?
I think the logo has stuffed up some of the other preseason jumpers.
Like even these ones here, if you take the badge off the center part, it maybe looks a bit better, doesn't it? A bit nicer.
Yeah, so I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah, me too. I think this is the other S that I referenced earlier. I think this is like it's clean, it's not busy, but it makes a statement. It's, as Michael said, it's one that a lot of people remember the most. So just purely on nostalgia factor and impact, it's got to be an S.
There's a lot of S's coming through in chat and A's. I feel like we drop it up in S. I think it feels nice having that up there. It's a really clean execution of a Guernsey. I like it. There we go. Well, that is the pre-season jumper tier list. What's going on with? I know that they aren't the best ones, are they, Juno? They're not great, but I think that was a good exercise, and we will definitely do this with the Indigenous Guernseys as well. I think that will be a lot of fun to see all those different designs and just appreciate them as well, I guess, with how good they've been. But I feel comfortable with that. It's actually almost disappointing how similar C and B's are. Like that could be over like a 6-7 year period. We've just kind of mildly tweaked some of the designs. And they haven't really gotten too creative there. But
and there wasn't too much to distinguish them from each other. So the point was, if the point was, who was going to go out and buy every preseason jumper, given that the changes were so minuscule, there'd be no point.
Yeah. It's
almost
like someone was just changing it for the sake of changing it.
Yeah.
Rather than it being somewhat meaningful. But Jones Racing wants to know which of these would CB wear to the solarium? I reckon he's got a grey one.
No, he wouldn't.
You don't reckon?
He wouldn't even have a robe in the solarium.
Yeah.
Bring back the lace-up jumpers.
Oh, wouldn't they be? They'd be itchy. Can you,
with Tetleys on them.
Yeah, old school. Bring back the pre-season cup. What was the most recent one?
The Wizard Home Loan.
The last one, Wizard. Yeah, there was Ansett before that, wasn't it?
There was the NAB one because NAB took over from.
Okay, so maybe NAB had.
Yeah, I think the last actual official pre-season competition was 2017, I think 2018, and then it was the challenges, and JLT was the other one.
JLT, yes, it was too. Yep.
What was that? What was that stupid game on the rectangle?
AFLX.
AFLX.
AFLX. Was that pre-season as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that took over. Yeah, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
2018, I think. Yeah. So 2017, I think, was the last JLT Community Series.
Speaking of AFLX, sort of in similar vein, because this is what they were trying to do. I mean, I guess the premise of AFLX was all about trying to do something like State of Origin without it being State of Origin, having the plays intertwining. But now we've got State of Origin officially back in Feb. How do we all feel about it? I do like that they've appointed two coaches that are current coaches. It gives it a bit more of an authentic feel rather than appointing two ex-coaches or two external other people. It's going to be interesting to see what the buy-in's like from the players. I feel like they wouldn't have gone this far if they hadn't already got the buy-in. But yeah, Chris Scott seems to think it's going to go well in pre-season, that players want to do it. But what do you guys think? How does everyone feel about State of Origin returning in Feb, I think it is?
You want my true opinion?
Yeah.
I think it's a load of shit. It's a waste of
Really?
time. Bloody ridiculous. Look, yes, it's you're either in or you're out, right? They're going to be going half-paced. It's going to be circle work. It's going to be too hot. If we're going to do State of Origin, we have a double bye in the middle of the season, right? So every club gets their 2 weeks off or whatever, and you've only got your X amount of players, and you play proper State of Origin where they belt a living suitcase out of each other, and it means something, and they're trying to win. They're not going to be trying to win in February. They couldn't give a shit, right? As someone who is old and grumpy and who was a teenager and early 20s when State of Origin in the 80s and the 90s, and it was really fierce and it meant something.
Yeah.
This is just absolute D-grade popcorn crap.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, EJ. I think they've brought it back purely for the fans, but they haven't really made it to the extent that I think fans want. With, as you said, in the middle of February, coming off a pre-season, start of the regular season, I just find it ridiculous. I think if they were going to play it, it should be later on in the year, whether it be during the bye rounds or whether they do it the week before finals during that bye week there. So there's some continuity, and plus there's no Dustin Martin to win a best on ground medal anymore. So who gives a shit, really?
So and what's going to happen is it's going to fail, and then the league's going to say, "See, the fans didn't really want it." Right?
Yeah.
You're giving us a half-assed version of State of Origin, and then he's saying when we don't support it how you want, you're going to say, "Oh, that's why it didn't come back."
Yeah,
it's a tricky one, isn't it? Like, I think they must internally and maybe externally acknowledge that they're never ever going to get it to what the NRL do. I think they could have if they had kept going with it from the time frame you were talking about, EJ, where it was fit and actually did mean something to the players. But it just dropped off and meant nothing. But one of the good memories I've had from State of Origin, Nathan Foley, he had a pretty good game running around for Victoria. Like, I personally love the idea of the players all playing with each other from all different sides. But to both of your point, you still want to see somewhat of a quality contest and not just, you don't want it to be NBA All-Stars, no defense stuff. It kind of just ends up being meaningless. But it will be interesting to see if the buy-in is there. Are they doing it for, is it all, I sound silly, but is it all ages, or are they doing it just under 25s? Is it open slather? Does anyone know if there's any particulars around it?
No, I'm pretty sure it's open slather because Scotty mentioned today that he thinks there's 3 locks for Victoria at the moment. One of them was, I can't remember who the third one was, but he mentioned Bontempelli and Nick Dacos were the 2 that I know he definitely mentioned as essentially locks for Victoria. But I saw someone make a comment.
I thought his locks were Bailey Smith, Brian Myers, and Jeremy Cameron.
I saw someone make a comment today saying if they really want to move the grand final to a night grand final, why not have the State of Origin on grand final day at the 2:30 slot, made up of players from teams that haven't made the grand final. That way you can have the futures game in the morning before that, and then State of Origin, and then the grand final.
Back to the time when we used to have 3 games on grand final day: the under-19s, the reserves, and the seniors.
I don't mind that. That's not a bad suggestion.
I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. Because 2020, obviously, with the night grand final against the Cats, that was far too long to wait with nothing in between. At least having something on to watch in the lead up would make it a lot more palatable.
Can I make a confession about the 2020 grand final? I've never told this to anyone.
4,000 subscriber insight.
Right. So we were in lockdown in Victoria, but there was Cox Plate meeting was on in Moonee Valley, and there was a race meet in Albury Wodonga, and there was some loophole where I was in regional Victoria, so I could disappear. And this weekend, this Cox Plate weekend, I always go away for the Cox Plate with the same group of mates, and one of my mates is in Wodonga. Anyway, I went up to his house, went out to the races. May have had a few too many drinks.
You missed the game, didn't you?
No. I remember us being down at half time, and I had to get up in the morning and watch the second half because I didn't know who won.
So good.
I've never told anyone that, and here we are.
That's brilliant. I actually think
don't spread it.
I reckon there'd be a lot of situations like that though, where people were just having a barbie during the day and got on it, and then were just too hammered by the time the game started to even see the thing out. And I suppose that's why the argument was to keep it. I know they didn't have a lot of choice, but to keep it in the day slot. That's a good one. I like that. The other question I want to ask about State of Origin is, which of the Tiger players would you like to see play, if any? And I know, look, okay, I'll preface it with this. I don't want the cop-out answer of none for no injuries. Let's say we have to send a representative who... None for no injuries. Who would you send? If we had to pick 2 players to send, who would we send?
Floston's the automatic one.
No, well, he's not automatic because he hasn't got an All-Australian jumper, so he's definitely not automatic.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that was part of this whole Chris Scott thing this morning. He was saying that Stewart was automatic because, I think he's the greatest defender of his generation.
Oh.
And here we are with poor old Nicky Boy, can't even get one.
One.
Yeah, so, look, but Floston is the obvious answer.
What about a second one, if there was a second player? Seen a lot of Sonsie and Dow love for this.
I don't think anyone else probably at the moment. We probably don't have anyone else that deserves it.
I mean, the only one you could probably say would be Taranto, but again, with the other midfielders that are coming in, like Bontempelli and everything, it'd be no shot. The one I wouldn't mind would be Seth Campbell. I'd love to see him light up State of Origin. I think he'd be pure.
Is he excluded though, being from Tassie?
Yeah, that'd be the thing. Because is it Victoria versus who? Vic's versing?
WA.
Heels has just said selection criteria is interesting. It's where they played when they got drafted, not where they were born. I mean, I think that still counts Seth out with Tassie, but it's interesting for some other players potentially. I didn't realise that was the case. That's interesting. Yeah, Nank could be. He'd run right in there, I reckon. I'm not sure who else you feel comfortable saying.
Nank would have, back in the 80s and the 90s, when it was absolutely, the South Australians were kick-a-vic, and it was vicious, man. I'm telling you.
Kick-a-vic it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, mate, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how old you guys are, but that was insane. Back in those days where they were whacking people behind play and stuff like that, Nank would, in the 80s, he would have been the State of Origin player. So the legend of Richmond was that Dale Waitman didn't get to play finals because we were such an ordinary side. He was immense for Victoria.
Yeah, State of Origin.
And he was an unbelievable State of Origin player. And you can ask supporters from any club. The Flea was a freak at State of Origin, and he loved the in and under, the rough stuff, belting into each other. He was insane. And Nank would be great at that.
Yeah. Yeah, he would. He'd be right in amongst that. Speaking of Nank, congratulations to he and his partner for the birth of their son. Jack, was it Jack, I think his name was?
Jack. Another Jack.
Another. I saw people already trying to get like height measurements to try and work out if he's going to grow into a ruckman and stuff like that. Very amusing to see how much we all latch on to those things. But congratulations to Nank and his family on the arrival of young Jack, which is, always a lovely time for any family. Good timing in the off-season too. I wonder how often that's planned or spoken about at clubs. You often hear stories that, like, from players about it's a topic that gets raised. I wonder if they do have to plan a bit differently. But no, that's good. Speaking of Nank, I've had a few people ask a question on different platforms. Do you think he goes on again in 2026 as captain? If no, is there someone else it would go to? If yes, that's great. When would he maybe relinquish it, and who does it go to? Basically, what's the order of who gets it next and the one after? Because I think we're kind of in a really awkward spot with the timing and the ages of certain players and how it's all panning out.
Personally, I'd give it to Taranto now and give him 3 years-ish, say, and then this next bunch come through, and then you've got, or maybe 4 years, who knows? But then when Taranto's coming to the end, one of this young generation is going to be there with their hand up saying, I'm your man, I'm your leader, let's go.
So you reckon Taranto is almost a placeholder from 2026 onwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Nank just having Jack, I think the time is now right for him to hand it over. That way he doesn't have all the captain responsibilities. He can focus on being football and adapting to a new child. Obviously, having a baby is a massive change to a lot of routines and everything that he would have had. Sleep, another one. So I think having the pressures of a new baby and captain, I think that could weigh a bit heavily on Nank. We saw it did with Cochin when Cochin had his first child. He's admitted that he struggled to balance those responsibilities all round. So I think this is now the perfect time for Taranto to take over, especially throughout the course of this year. Taranto stepped up for a lot of press conferences and media opportunities and sort of media facing roles. So I think he's been earmarked as the next captain, and I think this year sort of showed that. So yeah, I definitely think Taranto is captain from next season.
Seen a lot of comments for Vlosten, and whilst I don't necessarily disagree, I'm pretty sure he's been on record as saying he doesn't want it, which if he didn't say that, I think he would have been an absolute shoo-in. But let's run with the theory that that Taranto has it next year or the year after, whatever it looks like. Which of the youngsters coming through do you think seems most likely to then succeed Taranto if it's him that gets it next? I've actually seen along the journey a few suggestions of Banks, which is probably a name I hadn't considered, but he's apparently deemed a really strong leader within the club, which I thought was really interesting in a good way. Is there any other names? I know some of the younger kids, it's probably a little bit early to tell, but we can try and forecast what that might look like. But who would you then look at post Taranto to be the next Koch in terms of a long-term captain?
It's a really, really hard question with 1 year of under the belt. I don't want to suck up to Grock or anything, but I really like the way that Johnny Ford goes about it. And I think there's a fair bit of the Nick Rewalt, Jonathan Brown follow me about the way that he's going to be playing in a couple of years' time.
Yep.
But I actually don't mind. I don't mind the suggestion of Banks. He comes across as a very serious individual to me. I reckon he'd be a great captain.
It's interesting. I've never taken that much notice of him in that way, but I'm going to now. I'm going to pay a bit more closer attention.
You have a look at him and his demeanour on the field.
Yeah.
And with the this and the that, I rate him. I reckon he's good.
Interesting.
He directs a lot, especially he's almost rants like in the way that he communicates out on field at halfback, pointing, directing, and everything. So, yeah, Banks is a good shout. I think the two draftees that would probably be in that role, Jonty again, not just because he's my boy, but I've heard that the leadership and the willingness to take responsibility and shoulder, the example around the club apparently has been really impressive, and obviously Sammy Lawler. But I think with Lawler being pick number 1 too, I don't want to add even more pressure onto him.
Yeah, he's a tricky one, isn't he, Lawler? He's obviously super talented, but I kind of tend to lean into what you're saying, Grock, and you just want to let him play, let him just be good at football, and then if something naturally evolves, then maybe you look at it. Smiley's one that I think would definitely maybe be in that category at some point. And a few people have made a good point that if we were to draft Dyson Sharp, that he may be in that conversation too in 5-6 years' time, whatever it might be. I'm really fascinated with the amount of people who've cottoned onto the Banks one. That's good.
I'm really pleased that I'm not going crazy with the thoughts that I had in my head.
Yeah, I mean, Drayson, when Banks speaks, he reminds you of Luke Hodge. Yeah, okay. Well, that's a pretty high praise.
Someone there, Rational Roman says he was captain of the Tassie under-18, so I didn't know that.
So the only things I knew about Banks prior was that the club always internally really rated him highly before he sort of, we'll call it, burst onto the scene this year. And it's funny, I mean, having now seen what Rational Roman's just written, we do seem to have a habit of drafting players who have been captains at some point in time, haven't we? We do have quite a history in recent memory anyway of doing that. So, yeah, maybe there's method behind that madness.
Yeah. I mean, Jack Graham was captain of SA. Like, we've drafted a lot of team captains. So, yeah, I think that's part of the reason that we did it, given the culture that we had early days that we were trying to sort of change and improve, bringing in state, captains, whether it be for the state team or their representative sides, just getting in quality people, I think made a big difference. And we haven't really shied away from that once we improved. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do this draft.
Yeah, I mean, with it's funny. We drafted Graham. We got him cheap because of his injury history, and he was the Lark medalist and the captain. What I found amusing over the period, because as my pinned tweet from 2017 until the end of this year has been, it's been Jack Graham. I called him for a big grand final. I was super confident. But I remember way back, and I'm going somewhere with this, trust me, when Dusty burst on the scene and Dermy said he's a waddler. That's all he's ever going to be.
Yeah.
Dusty morphed into whatever. I think the waddler was Jack Graham, a really good B-grade footballer, ultimate professional, gives you everything, but he was a man-child when he came into the system and he never got more than that.
Yeah.
Amazing club, and you can see the impact that he's had on West Coast. What, he finished fourth in the BNF?
Yeah,
or
he was
third in
good.
the BNF or something like that. Like, I love Jack Graham to death, and I love him as a footballer all the way through. But whenever I think of Jack Graham, I always go back to Dermy's comment about Dusty being the waddler when we got the waddler a few years later.
Just didn't kick on as we all hoped, did he? I mean, he had obviously that final where he played with his bung shoulder, which was like just utterly inspirational.
Well, there's leadership, right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
There's an interesting question that came through from a Fighting Fury. Do you think we'll see any changes to the leadership group this year? If so, what will they be? I actually, truthfully, can't remember who was in it. If I'm from memory, it was obviously Nank. Was it Lynch and Short that were the vice captains? And Taranto? Did we have 3?
I think so. I'm pretty sure Lynch was in it.
Lynch
Taranto definitely was.
I reckon Shorty was another one. Or was he there previously? And okay, even so, what if we even started from scratch? If Taranto was captain next year, hypothetically speaking, and you had to appoint 2 vice captains, who would everyone go with as a vice captain?
Banks.
Straight in, Banks.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Brody was in there as well.
I'd go, Banks would definitely be one.
And probably Brody.
Yeah.
So you'd go an experienced head and then an inexperienced head just to try and balance it.
Yeah.
Do we believe in deputy? I know you can make up as many roles as you want, but do you then go a deputy vice captain and give some type of leadership responsibility to one of the younger players as a taste? Not that their role would be massive, I wouldn't have thought, but do you toy with that idea, or is it just leave it as a captain and 2 vices or whatever it looks like, 3 vice captains?
I'll just leave it how it is.
Yeah.
Don't go the Grant Thomas rotating model or anything stupid like that. Let's just, look, I agree with Grant Thomas on ruckman. I don't agree with Grant Thomas on captains.
And no love for dual captaincy, I don't think, Grock. I think we're past that.
Yeah, 100%. I really hated dual captains. Again, I think having one captain, one voice, and everything just makes things so much simpler. And if that's what a vice captain is for. They're not quite captain, but they can step up as needed. There's no need for dual captains.
Well, Ben Miller, that's not a bad shout from Dutchy. That's a good call.
Yeah, don't mind it.
I don't mind that. I've always been, and I don't know if there's any real evidence to support this whatsoever, but I've always been a fan of having one on each line of the ground to have almost a designated leader. So you've got that voice in all different parts of the ground. But at the same time, you don't need to have a title to have that set up, I guess.
Yeah,
so
I think you naturally get that anyway.
Yeah.
Like, like when Grimes wasn't the captain, but he and Rance were very vocal down back, in the halcyon days. Leaders are leaders. Jack, when he was pushed out of the leadership group, he was still leading on field. Natural leaders will take their place, and they will naturally lead.
It's nice that we have a few in the ranks.
As Jack Rewalt said when he was dropped from the leadership group for those incidents with the media and everything, just because I'm not in the leadership group doesn't mean I'm not a leader. You don't have to be part of the leadership group to stand up when you're needed, whether it be on field, off field, or anything like that. And I think that's part of the challenge that Ooze will have to some of the older players if they're not part of the official leadership group. Like Lynch, maybe he gets dropped out. Shorty maybe gets dropped out. Even Brody, given he said it's probably his last year, maybe they do drop those players who aren't going to be there in 2027 to have new blood come in who are going to be there beyond that. Again,
I think there's value in doing that because those guys can still guide them and mold them and help them in their first year of doing it. I think it's important for them to get that learning on the job while having those guys there who can help them with it. Brody, obviously, if it's his last year, we need to make the most of him being at the club, and that would be one way to do it, I suppose. So it will be interesting to see what we do. I'm pretty sure our one is player voted based from memory, so I'm not sure if that will be the same thing this year, or if they give instruction on player X, Y, and Z's not putting their hand up, so don't vote. I don't know how it will all work, but we definitely saw during the preseason just gone Lynch's leadership. We saw Presti's leadership on the ground. EJ, that video you mentioned as well. So we've got players who are still playing those important roles. So it'll be interesting to see where we go. But any other questions? Send through your questions, guys. We're going to shift over to some draft stuff quickly. Dylan Alexander,
before we go any further,
yep.
I don't want to steal segments from other Richmond podcasts as such, but the official Richmond podcast for many years, Richo had a very amusing segment called Chief Watch. And I'm wondering whether we have to start some sort of Chief Watch or Michael's Watch on this podcast.
No,
because someone's starting to spread themselves around a little bit. And I'm getting things sent to me, and I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, James Racing, if you could stop dropping me in the shit, that'd be much appreciated. So he knows.
Yes.
So
look, I know that the club is, embracing what you're doing, and you're becoming quite big, and it's, like it's growing and all this sort of stuff. But now I'm getting videos of you sent to me. Like this is it's beginning a bit much. People are giving me the ammunition. I'm again, much like, come on, man, I'm not doing anything. It's coming to me.
Yeah.
Am I going to have to start a segment or not?
Well, it was just a bit of a gathering with some other content creators in the Footy Fan Network, all like-minded people. We did a couple of podcasts. There will be some other footage that comes out of a couple of debates I was involved with. So one of them, I was debating a North fan, the topic being who is closer to a grand final, Richmond or North Melbourne. And then I had to do a debate against a Hawthorn supporter about whose 3 premierships were better. That was interesting. But there will be more footage coming out. I don't know when, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah, I jumped on YouTube after I finished dinner just before I was getting ready to come on, and literally first video up, there's Michael's face as part of the Footy Fan Network podcast. I was like, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Jeez. Nightmare on podcast.
Can I have your autograph?
Dear. No, it's all a good bit of fun. All a good bit of fun.
Yeah, it is all good fun.
It is.
Just watch the next live call that we do. The next live we do from the game with the meetup. You watch the Lions just come flocking for Michael's.
I want to tell a story, but I don't, because it's only going to draw more heat.
For those of you not as old as me, you won't remember the Beatles in 1963 coming to Australia or whatever it was. It's going to be similar scenes at the MCG when the Tigercast family try and find Michael's.
Well, okay. I'll tell because you've led with that. And I actually haven't told any of you that this happened. So grand final parade, or on the Friday grand final eve, we went in because of the live site, take the kids to do all the footy activities and stuff. And Brisbane and Geelong were doing their training sessions on the G. And we were just waiting to meet up with one of the boys' school friends and his family. So we're just in there. We walked in, grabbed some food, and we're just watching the training. And within about 5 minutes of walking in to the ground, 2 teenagers come up and ask for a photo. And Lauren just looked at me like, what? And I don't know where the photo was posted or what it was, but it was a really nice experience. It was really cool and very
too big for us.
Very amusing. Lauren just turned away. She's like, what is happening? I'm like, there's like 40,000 Geelong and Brisbane people here, and then there was obviously a few Richmond people in and amongst the mix as well. But no, it's nice that people feel comfortable enough to come and talk to all of us. I know Groc's been stopped in a supermarket. It's cool. People feel comfortable to come and talk footy shit with us. It's good. It's good fun.
Where's the Wayne girl? We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Press boxes.
Look, Grok, we've had a good run. We've had a good run,
Yeah.
Grok. It's only a matter of weeks before there's only one head on the screen again.
Oh, no. Marcus the new CB. Jesus. Oh dear. No, it's good.
To be honest, you've copped your fair whack tonight.
I have. Fair enough, though. Fair enough. So it goes around. It goes around. But no, like I said, Grok, we've started a few footy games together, and EJ, we've been at some too, and just have people come up and talk to us and say good day. It's awesome. It's good. That's what building a community is all about. So we encourage the interaction, the banter. It's all good for a laugh. But yeah. Well, I didn't think the bottom half was going to make the shot, and I came straight from work. So it didn't work out well for me.
And just speaking of everyone approaching us, we do appreciate it. So feel free if you see us, come up and say good day.
It's one of the reasons I don't. It's one of the reasons I don't go to games. It's not because I live 2 hours out of town. It's because I don't like people. Are we allowed to quickly just your little story you sent to me about your work and about another club?
Yeah, we probably can.
It's up to you. I'll leave that with you.
So obviously the whole Charlie Curnow debacle with Carlton was quite amusing to watch unfold. I guess from a supporter perspective, they were really worried about what draft picks they were going to get and losing their big forward. From my perspective and my day-to-day job, I had an extra layer of amusement because the Carlton Football Club had ordered and been sent 13,000 mini footballs with Charlie's crew on there in his silhouette as part of their membership program, which had been sent prior to trade week. So I'm like, well, that's a bit unlucky that you've been stuck with that many footballs. But there's been a couple of times that's happened, and even us as a business, we used, when we had the NBA license, putting NBA players on balls and they get traded to different teams. So lesson learned, clubs don't go down that path. But no, that was very amusing to see that unfold as well.
Speaking of Charlie, suck shit Geelong.
Yeah, missing out. I saw people celebrating that quite a bit. That not so much that Charlie left, but just that Geelong didn't get him.
I still don't know how Geelong got a C rating for their trade period when they missed their two main targets. Like, how do you get a C?
Well, and the other thing is that Geelong were arrogant about the Rowan Marshall situation.
Yeah,
they thought St Kilda was going to cave. That for me, in that last half an hour, that was the cream on the cake. Was St Kilda not caving?
Yeah,
brilliant.
It almost felt like a little bit this trade period that there's maybe been a small shift in the landscape of players not having as much power, or contracted players, should I say, not having as much power as they have previously. And as much as the Essendon and Hawthorn thing was a complete debacle, I do respect that Essendon held firm on a contracted player and didn't just cave in if they didn't like the deal, even though I think what they were asking for maybe was a bit of a stretch. If they didn't feel that was what was being offered was adequate, I think good on them. And I think more clubs need to do that. The next layer, though, is, okay, if Merritt wants to leave, as the example, that's fine. You're going to whoever gives us the best deal. If you want to leave while you're contracted, we're cashing in. And I think that's where it probably needs to get to for contracted players.
I also wonder how much of Geelong's misfortunes come back to, obviously, the third-party payment deal, audit, and also the fact of their previous trade weeks where they've gotten, Jack Bowes and pick 7 for peanuts, Bailey Smith for essentially peanuts. Like, I wonder how many clubs now are like, we're not letting Geelong, get quality players in for peanuts.
Let's hope so.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
We'll get into some draft stuff very quickly before I bring it up. So Dylan Alexander, who a lot of you already probably know, does a lot of draft stuff, and he released his top 20 power rankings today. He's actually on the show on Monday. We're doing a draft show. On that Monday as well, I can now confirm / reveal that on Monday there will be a recording posted of an interview with Dill, myself, and Sullivan Roby. And then during the Monday night live show, Xavier Taylor, who is another draftee, will be joining Dill and I for about half an hour. And he is a mad Richmond supporter as well, just quietly. So we've got two of the draftees lined up for a chat, and the timing just ended up working out quite well. So yeah, I'm not sure how long we've got half an hour set aside for each, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so we'll have some chat with Sullivan Roby and Xavier Taylor, which is pretty cool in the lead up to the draft. But what order have I got?
Great. Xavier Taylor, another person wanting a photo with you.
He just happened to come on. He said anything for Richmond supporters. He loves the Tigers, which is good.
At least Sam Grill's got the right ideas, just not feeding Michael's ego.
No, that's all right. Shit, I'm getting clipped from everywhere. All right, so we're going to go in reverse order. So these were the rankings that Dill dropped today. So the 11 to 20, Aidan Schubert, Noah Hibbins-Hargraves, Sam Cumming is an interesting one that high. Mitch Marsh, Harry Dean, Javan Filippo, Jacob Farrow, Ollie Greaves, Oscar Taylor, Josh Lindsay. Lindsay's a really interesting one to be down that far, who I guess he was touted top 10, top 5 for a while, wasn't he, Grock? And I think what's maybe undone him is the defensive side of the game. But I know a lot of these players probably don't feature in our plans, although I truthfully think Sam Cumming does feature in the names that we're talking about with picks 3 and 4. I don't think it's a reach. How do you feel about Sam Cumming, Grock?
I don't see us taking him with 3 or 4. The only way I see him being on our radar with the picks we have is if we trade one of them and downgrade a little bit, whether it be with Essendon or Melbourne or whoever has a couple of later picks. But I wouldn't necessarily mind him. I just think there's players who fit our play style and game plan, what we're trying to do a little bit better.
That's very good, Jones Racing. It's very good. Oh, shit.
Well, I'm done.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So then the top list from
just on that previous list.
Yeah.
It's a brave move of Mitch Marsh to give up his lucrative cricket career at this stage.
At this age, I know.
The Bison.
The Bison. That's it. If he doesn't get called the Bison by his club,
yeah,
that would be a travesty if that was to not happen. So onto the top end of the draft for the rankings from Dylan. So we'll talk to you more about these next week. But Dersmer at 1 still seems to be universal, which is interesting. But funnily enough, if we were to maybe go back to last year and look at these type of rankings at the same time, I would hazard a guess that Lawler wasn't at number 1 at this stage. I reckon the Lawler to 1 happened a little bit later in the piece. I still reckon that Fino Sullivan and Jagger Smith were probably 1 and 2. So I guess all I'm saying is that even though Dersmer's been rated 1 pretty much by everybody who's done one of note, it's not locked in, I guess. Sullivan Roby up to number 2, and there has been some speculation about West Coast going after him. It could be smoke screens, it could be anything, but interesting to see that. Zeke Euland at 3, which we don't have access to. Sam Grill at 4. He's starting to divide a lot of people's opinions, I reckon, Grock. Seems to be heavily linked to us. Obviously has the pace. People, I guess, are trying to work out, is it still the right spot to take him? I still think, because of our haul last year, if he has a bit more of a needs factor about him, I think it's okay to do based on what we got already.
Absolutely. And I think, as you mentioned, last year, with the picks we had, we went for a combination of needs and best available. Obviously, we took Lawler at 1. He was best available in our eyes. We earmarked him as pick 1 from very early on in the season. So he was always number 1. Taj Houghton was purely best available as well. But then you look at Armstrong and Jonty Fall, they were needs-based selections. We needed to get some quality players in. Luke Traynor was a needs-based selection based on the aging list of our defense. This year, it can be whatever we want it to be. We don't have to go one way or the other. We can go draft the needs-based picks, or we can go for best available player. So I think that's why last year was so successful, and it's going to be one of those drafts that sets us up for the next 3 or 4 years going forward as well, because we've got such a large amount of talent in. We are flexible with what we want to do, whether it be trading picks for an established player who in that 24 to 27 range, or getting free agents in. So or whatever it might be. So taking Sam Grill at 3 or 4, whatever it is, I'm sure he ends up with us. Is exactly the type of player that we're screaming out for. More pace, more rebound off a halfback, who sort of go through the middle, has decent enough skills. He's not, I wouldn't say he's outstanding with his kicking like what Josh Lindsay is, but the Sizzler is the perfect fit for our side right now. So it doesn't really matter.
I think he'd fit in really nicely. And EJ, what's your thoughts on best available versus needs? Obviously, last year we got a really good haul. If you were selecting, how would you then approach the following year, given we had 8 kids come in last year? We've got 2 picks this year, and then obviously the Tassie piece comes in a couple of years' time. Do you think you could have a bit more luxury to shift away from best available and blend in needs as well, or would you still purely go best available no matter what?
Okay, I'm going to need you guys' help on this because, as you know, I'm not deep into the draft. It's not my area. I would go needs if they were if Richmond has ranked them within X amount of positions of best available. So I wouldn't go needs at a stretch, but I would go needs if they were in the same band. And if you rated them 4 places below, but they were a need, you take the need. If they were 10 places below, you take the best available. So I think it's just a judgment call on when it's our pick as to, is it too much of a reach? If it's not, you take the need. If it is, you take the best.
I think that's how it's going to play out too. I reckon Grok, there's maybe a circle around 3 at the top that sort of clearly a bit better than the rest, and then there's maybe a larger circle around the following 8 or so where maybe you can be a bit more flexible.
Yeah, I mean, take out Ulan, take out Patterson, take out Annabelle. Like they're already gone out of the pool. They're linked to clubs. So, Dersma is essentially gone. He's pick 1. Pick 2 is where it gets interesting. Do they go Sullivan, Roby? Do Essendon try and trade up to take Roby or CDT? So I really don't think at this stage you can for certain back in any players at our picks because we don't know who's going to be there at 3 because there's so many different factors that could play out. I mean, Essendon are trying to trade up because they really want Roby or one of Roby or Dersma. So it's really going to be interesting. And also, with Cumming or anything like that, we got Rechko in, so we're not really in the need for a new winger in that regard either. So that's also going to play out. It's really going to be interesting. But I agree with EJ. If you're tossing between 2 or 3 players, you go for the one that fits your needs the best. If there's not much separating them, go for the one that's going to fit what you currently need most.
To Tiger team's point as well, for those who don't remember, we were hotly linked to Bo Allen last year by everyone, Cal Toomey, the works, and it was literally, it came out in the afterwash, it was literally a smokescreen. So I've kept hearing a lot that the 4 names we're keen on were Roby, Grill, Taylor, and Cumming. And I'm just trying to work out that out of that 4, is one of them a smokescreen or, Blair's the master at playing games. So I don't think we can take anything like that in face value. And like Duff Tyler, the next one in line, where he falls, I think shapes a little bit of what we do. If he doesn't go pick 1 or 2 to West Coast, it would be amazing, number 1. But if he lands with us at pick 3, I think we will get some crazy offers from a Melbourne or an Essendon or something like that to try and get him. And that's where I think Blair could come in with a really good rip-off phone call because he said straight out that the deal has to turn our heads. And Duff Tyler, I think, is the type of player that could generate that type of deal. I mean, maybe we get a repeat of our reaction to the Kangaroos trade on last year.
Yeah. And even if we end up drafting CDT, a 1-2 combo punch of CDT and Tom Sims in 5 or 6 years is going to be fairly decent as well. So it's going to be interesting, as you said, how it all plays out with trades. And West Coast is the main one that we're watching, and Essendon to see what they do with their picks. I think Essendon are the keys to this whole draft. And
we were speaking about it before, and someone mentioned it in here. Yeah, don't argue that read today that West Coast want to bid on Harry Dean at 2 and Carlton don't have the points to cover it. That would be an extraordinary bid to put in for a key defender that early. It would shake the whole thing up.
They'd lose their pick 9 and whatever pick as well. But they don't forget, clubs can also go into deficit.
Yeah, but that would also be popcorn.gif material. Like, that'd be awesome.
It would be completely unexpected. Because that then means, does someone like, I just can't see a world where Dersma slips through, but you'd love to be a fly on the wall to see how all these scenarios get played out in clubland to try and factor for everything. If West Coast bid on him at 1 or 2, that would be quite incredible.
North of offered a future first round for Michaels.
That's overs, I would have thought. That's overs. But yeah, interesting names on there. Xavier Taylor at 9, Lockie Doverston at 10. So Lockie Doverston's a small forward. Look, I don't think we would take him at 3 or 4, but if we happen to do a pick swap somewhere down the line, do either of you think that we would be in the market for another specific small forward, or are you happy with what we've got in that space?
I'm happy with what we've got in the space. Obviously, we've got Jasper Alger, who we've just drafted. We've got Morris, Seth, Mansell, Juddy Clark, who obviously has suffered the ACL, but he's still there, who can play as the small. Even Jaden Short, if we want to get games into players on the halfback, Shorty has shown that he can play as a small forward. So I think we're pretty much right with that position. I'm not sure drafting another one's going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, can't add more to that.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough as well. Where'd they go? If West Coast don't go, Roby, Essendon, Melbourne. Yeah, I believe that as well. How's that? I mean, Melbourne were probably one of the first teams that were into Roby early days, so I can definitely see a world where they come in for a chat to try and get one of our picks to get him if he's still there. I guess what's the interesting part, though, is what does everyone feel is a warranted trade? Like, is there a non-negotiable part of the trade that would need to be there to make us do it? I think there is, and I think it's a future first. I don't think Blair will entertain any idea of a trade of picks unless it comes with a future first. And clubs won't want to do that because they're not wanting to trade futures into this draft, which I understand. But I guess that's Blair putting his foot down and saying, no, if you want our pick to get the certain player you want, then you have to pay the premium for it.
Yeah, if Roby and CDT are still there and neither of them get taken by West Coast, I would be approaching Essendon and be like, we'll give you 3 and 4 for the 2 picks that they have behind us so they can get Roby and CDT, but you throw us a second rounder back.
Is a second rounder enough?
Would they? What about if we gave them 3 and 4, they gave us 5 and 6, and their future first. That
I think you would have to do that.
That's what I reckon.
You'd take that, but I doubt Essendon would do that.
Yeah, well, how bad do you want it, Essendon?
Exactly right. That's what it comes down to. The logical side says they shouldn't do that, but if they want those 2 players and they know that we'll take them, then they do it.
It's a seller's market.
And as Jones Racing has said, we need someone to take one of it. We need a future first because we need another death right chart.
I know. How fun was that? I need redemption on the formatting of that because I completely fucked it last year. But I think that's where Blair's going to try and angle. And to sort of Samuel's point, everyone else's point, it just comes down to the desperation and how much the club wants that player. And I think those players, you could easily argue and justify that we would take them if we're in that spot. So if they want them, you got to pay. You can't help but feel that there's going to be an opposition set of supporters that end draft night in tears or leave in tears because we've ripped them off. Blair's going to have his phone turned off for the weeks leading up and just keep everybody hanging like he did last year. And then, boom, he'll strike.
But as he mentioned in his interviews during the trade week radio, he did receive offers for some of the picks, but they were nothing that we seriously considered. It just didn't work out in our favour.
Yep. I like that. Play straight back. The last player I want to talk to everybody about and get your thoughts on, because I don't think we have as a collective, and I pray that I get this right, because I just call him Patrick now. Patrick Rechko, have I got that, EJ?
Yeah.
Yes. What's everyone's thoughts on Patrick Rechko coming to the club? I sort of put it out there that I sheepishly think that he could be a chance to play round one, just because of how specific his role is and what he can do. Like, running 15K in a game is a big ask. I know he's not played an AFL game, so I'm very aware that it's different to VFL, but he's an aerobic beast, did a lot of athletics as a youngster. And I just think we have a very similar mould from Camden McIntosh to Patrick with what we want on one of those wings. And I think that is the one position on the ground that we don't have two locked people in. You would say, I think you could argue Hugo's got one wing. Whether people like it or not, it's maybe a side argument. But with how we set up, I think we can assume that. I think we can assume that he's on a wing. But the other wing, we've had Trainer there, but we know that Uze said Trainer's going to be a defender, which I think we all agree with. Trezise has been tried there, been tried at halfback, hasn't done much wrong. But can Rechko offer something better and different to what Trezise does? And I don't know of anyone else that could play that role.
I mean, Campbell played there at times, but I agree. I would say that he's at this point almost a certainty to start round one. That's my big call right now, that he will be playing round one. I think it's a sad case that Juddy got injured. I think Juddy would have been the one that would have taken that other wing if he was fit. But this is a Rechko who was pretty highly rated, as a player in the draft. I just think I'm pretty sure Rye Geishan has mentioned that we would have drafted Rechko if we had some more picks in the back end of the draft in a list spot. So again, I think with how highly we've been rated with our drafting, obviously we've identified that he's a talent and can contribute to the side. And it's nice to be on the end of actually a token pick trade going our way for once, where we give up a token pick rather than giving a token pick to other clubs. So that's nice. And again, the way that he plays with the athleticism, his endurance and everything, I think he's the best suited for that wing role. So yeah, I definitely see him starting round one.
Okay, Grok, who are Geelong's wingers this year?
They had Dempsey would have been one.
Yeah, Dempsey. One. Yeah,
Smith and Dempsey, right? Smith and Dempsey.
Yeah, Holmes rotated through there at times.
Yeah, exactly right. Rechko's not getting a game in front of that.
No, absolutely not.
So let's not judge him on the fact that he didn't get a game.
Yeah,
he didn't get a game behind three very, very good players.
Yeah,
right.
And that's
go on.
I was going to say that's been my comments on a lot of the Richmond supporter pages on Facebook, where every single club who delists players, it's worth a look ? And it's like, if they're not getting games at Essendon, for example, what makes you think they're good enough to play at Richmond? Like, they can't get a game in another. And North Melbourne, like Will Phillips, for example. Well, I know we've been linked to him, but if he couldn't get a game in North Melbourne's midfield when a lot of their youngsters were out, like Wardlaw was injured at times. Like, what makes you think they're going to get games for us? Like, our midfield is, I wouldn't say strong, but, Hopper, Taranto, Prestia, like, how are they going to get games for us? So, yeah, that's the biggest thing. But Rechko, coming from a stronger side with absolute A-grade midfielders that he's going to be behind, it's, yeah.
That's my point, right? So we can't judge him like a delisted player from a West Coast, right?
Yeah.
And this is, I think we said last week, this is the perfect needs-based pickup. He is being picked for a slot. It's
so specific.
It's very specific. There's no confusion here.
And my thing is, I know, yeah, he was obviously delisted, whatever, he was picked 99, but to go that specific, to me, suggests that we believe he will make an impact and play. I don't think you do that to have him play in the VFL. That doesn't seem to make sense. I think I was actually, and I know highlight videos are exactly that, but I was actually also impressed with his ability to drift forward and take strong contested overhead marks as well. I think that adds not a bad string to his bow too. And yeah, I can see him filling a spot. It's interesting to see what he does day one with the time trials and things like that. I think he's gonna be one of those guys that works his ass off and will win the players over.
He will have more of an impact. He will have more of an impact coming from Moe by the Sea than
bringing the intel
than either Taylor Hunt or Kent Kingsley.
Okay. Yep.
And he was also, you got to think, he's also part of the crop that played with, a lot of the other boys we drafted last year. So there's also that connection as well, which I really love. I was talking to an Uber driver on the way to work, and he was really pumping up our drafting and mentioned that drafting all of these players that have already played together, whether it be through representative football or cricket or basketball outside of the sport, is gonna fast track a lot of the development because they've already got that connection. They've already understand each other's play styles, and again, it makes it easier for the transition to step up. Like, you're not going to want players being traded if their best mates are already at the club and everything.
I think it makes a huge difference. There's definitely something in behind why we're doing that, which would be good. The last thing I'll throw out there quickly. Caesar, avid track watcher from Putton Road End, who does God's work with his training reports, he had mentioned that, so he'd seen some of the boys out there doing their running, and to the naked eye, Josh Smiley looks taller than Fall and Armstrong. What do you make of that?
That tells me he's probably slimmed down.
He definitely has in the photos.
Skinny people look taller, and and I think that. Would I be wrong, or would I be correct? I haven't seen Caesar's work in the last couple of weeks. He's saying that he's training well.
I've heard from multiple people close saying I think he's dropped about 7 kilos, doing all his running, smashing it.
Yep. So I'm positive. And who did I say last week? He's moved in with.
Who did you say?
Who was it?
Was it
Jonty? Who was it?
Oh, yeah, it was Jonty. It was Jonty.
Yes. So all signs pointing up.
Yeah.
With Josh.
But the size is interesting because I've seen a few snaps of the boys when they went away on their holidays, and even Sammy Lawler looks to have grown as well because there's photos of the big group of the boys. I'm not sure where they were, but he's standing next to Tommy Brown and looks almost the same size as Tom Brown, who's in the 190s as well.
They were at the races in Asia, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Hong Kong maybe.
Yeah, Hong Kong races.
Yeah, but Sammy Lawler looked relatively tall in that photo compared to Tommy Brown. So if Lawler's grown another 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters as well, that's going to make a big difference too.
Tell you what, I am actually a little bit concerned about Sam Lawler. I'm worried we might lose him to Australian Idol or The Voice or something like that with how good his singing's going. He's unbelievably good. I don't know if anyone saw the video. I think Richmond posted it on their socials, but the kid's got talent. He can do everything.
Sign him as the grand final entertainment.
Yeah, why not? He can go and get changed at halftime and go and play and then
absolutely.
So, all right. Well, I think that might be a wrap for tonight. Unless anyone else has got anything to add, have we missed anything at all? I don't think so. There's not much else that's been happening pre-season wise. How tall did you say Tom Brown was again? What is he, like 190 something? 190?
Yeah, I think wasn't he listed as like 192 or something? 193.
Feels about right. Feels about right.
I think someone mentioned he was about the same height as what the club listed Jack Rewald at, and there was some laughs about it.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's good to see the pre-season stuff.
193. 193.
Yeah, 193 for Tom Brown. Geez, that'll be interesting if Lawler's getting closer to that, because what he was drafted at 189, I think it was 188, 189,
188.
So it's not all that surprising to hear of them growing a little bit in their first year at the club. So if he's gotten to 190 as well, that's going to make him even more dangerous when up forward, which I think that's going to be the key to what our team looks like, I think, moving forward. Like, no matter who we draft this year, the long-term vision has to be having 2 of them in the midfield, 2 of them at half forward, rotate them and just keep the talent going through there, the talent up forward, and just let them get to work.
Hopefully his hamstrings are growing at the same rate.
Yeah, well, that's true as well. That's true. Dutchie, well done, Dutchie. Punt road development underway. Where's the statue of Michaels? Very good. You're right next to Blair's. If Roby can get to 195, I know. Like, do you end up feeling like you're too top heavy if we keep drafting all these tall kids? I don't know.
No, because the population's getting taller, and if they're
like the new
working,
norm, isn't it?
if I'm 180, I was 186. I've shrunk. I'm 185 now. I was 186, and I'm going to age myself now. I was playing under 20s in the late 80s, and I was centre half back changing ruck.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And I wasn't the tallest ruck, but 6'1", 6'1.5" or whatever.
Yeah.
Just in local competition, not in everyone. My son's now just about to turn 20. His mates are all around me. They're all bloody giants.
Yeah.
Yep.
The population's getting bigger, so we need to get bigger. We can't draft midgets. If they're 193, what's Cripps, 195?
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
I guess it's about projecting what the game's going to look like in 3 to 5 years as well, which I think Blair's spoken about a couple of times.
Yeah. I was an absolutely terrible AFL footballer. I was the equivalent of the old Spider Burton ruckman. I'd mark the ball and I'd look around for a handball so that I didn't have to kick it. and then someone told me about rugby where I got to just smash people for a living and have almost no skill. And I thought, this is perfect.
This is for me.
Yes.
Oh, very good. Well, we'll finish with this one. Who's the best between Daffy Armstrong and Jack Lees? It's hard to tell. It's probably very early. I was talking to young Jack today, actually. So he's, doing very well. Looking forward to his footy next year. I think he's hoping to take up a wing spot, which would be, and I said to him, it's actually quite a present need for us. He's got really good wheels, young Jack. So I think he's looking to do a bit more of that because they do have quite a few midfielders. So I think Jack would be the one that will stand out the most because of his speed, and he's got good goal sense as well. But Archie Daffy, I think, will be a late charger because of his age, because he's on the younger side. But we kind of need Archie and Tanner to grow a little bit, which will naturally happen. But yeah, they're both quite small, but it's relevant to their age group, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tanner will be good too.
And as we talked about earlier, and I saw the comment, but having Archie in the wings is also another reason why I doubt we go Doveston.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair call. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
If we know we've got another small forward coming into the club in 12 months' time, there's no point in taking another one.
Yeah, true. Good shout. All right, well, that is a wrap for tonight. I'll bring that up again just quickly. That's just for anyone who missed it, that was where we ended up ranking all of the pre-season jumpers. So thank you to everybody for participating, even though I gave no care to your comments whatsoever, apparently. It was good to get everyone's input. And we'll do this again, but with the Indigenous Guernseys. I think that'll be really cool to see all of those designs. And there might be a few other ones of these throughout the off-season, not necessarily footy. Like we've done stuff before, Grok and I, on my other streaming days, of like fast food places, chocolate bars, all that kind of shit, just random shit just to create conversation. So we'll see how we go. Flavored milks, yeah.
I reckon we should do opposition clubs.
Can do that, yeah. As a total club or like a part of it, whether it's like their theme song or just the club in total.
Fremantle, West Coast, just total clubs. We need to rank the clubs.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that one as well in the off season. I like it. Gives us a chance to shit can more teams and justify it with a ranking. There you go.
I've seen the future.
All day.
I think I know where Geelong's going to end up.
We might have to make a separate for them and rename it
No,
something
but-
else.
Like I will do my private club rankings before we do this, because I've actually got clubs that I love, and I think and I'll write down the reasons for it.
Does the North get an S purely for the draft show moment last
for
year?
The lols.
No. Well, I hadn't thought about that, but they have gone up in the rankings very quickly. I know there are clubs that I really like and respect, just for what they are and what they stand for and stuff like that. Like there are the clubs I genuinely love, and there are clubs that I genuinely respect, and there are clubs that I hate. And I think it would be really good to get a snapshot of what the audience think, and actually legitimately listening to them and putting the clubs in the right spots.
I like it. Legitimately listening to them. Thanks, EJ.
Yeah.
No, I like it. We can definitely do that. Grok, you might know more on this. Are we rookieing Hobbs?
No, I don't think we are. Again, couldn't get a game in Essendon's midfield, which speaks volumes. And again, he's almost identical to the players that we drafted in Hopper. Just a one-paced, one-dimensional midfielder. We don't need it. We've got players who are injured who fit our midfield better. Obviously, McAuliffe, Smiley, that sort of thing. So I doubt he gets a game with us. So there's no point.
Yeah, makes sense. And I just thought of another ranking idea. We could rank like all the number 3s from each club and all the number whatevers.
Yes.
There you go.
But only current players.
Yeah. Just from the I don't have enough time to cut and paste that many different photos. Just from the current playing. Plenty of ideas. We'll have a bit of fun in the off season, folks. So we can get everyone involved. It's actually a shame the actual tier list website doesn't work how it used to, because you could actually do an interactive version where people can actually vote in real time, but it just doesn't work. So we'll do it the old way. But anyway, that is a wrap for tonight. Again, thank you so much for everybody who has subscribed over the journey. A lot of you have been here since 2017 when we were a bit wilder. There was no video. Just for the record, the video side of things was actually CB's idea. So I will credit him for that. He wanted to push the video audio, which has been really, really good. So well done to him. And massive thank you to everybody who has been on the show over the years. It's been awesome to have you all a part of it. And a big thanks to everyone who watches along at home and wherever you are. We appreciate all the love and support. And we'll be back. I don't know when. We'll just keep doing these whenever we can get everyone together. But there'll be plenty of other draft content and things like that popping up along the journey. So keep an eye out for it. Make sure you get around it. And until next time, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.